Nearly 55,000 fans are at Old Trafford to greet Manchester United, the team in blistering form at the moment. So what a time for Spurs to come north to try and assert themselves as championship potential. Good afternoon. Yes, that game at Old Trafford is our feature match today. And for our special report, we go to the crisis club Stoke City, at the bottom of the First Division, now facing West Ham. It's a game that certainly produced the goals for us, as indeed as our third match, Aston Villa against Norwich. But first, Manchester United against Spurs. Our commentator is Martin Tyler.
Alan Brazil's 15 months with Tottenham had more lows than highs. But now he lines up against Spurs, fortified by 4 goals in his last 4 games, including his first for Manchester United in the league. Came last Saturday against West Ham, and it suggests he's in the mood to answer his critics. At the same time, Garth Crooks has been reviving his Tottenham career. Crooks returns to Old Trafford, where he spent 2 months on loan last season, with 8 goals now in his last 6 outings. Manchester United's army of internationals have been fighting on several European fronts, but only Mike Duxbury returned wounded, so John Gidman steps in for his first league game for a year, and Kevin Moran, fit again, replaces Gordon McQueen. The release of John Chidozie for World Cup duty with Nigeria gives Gary Mabbutt the chance to re-establish his claims in Spurs midfield. But what competition there is in that department, with Glenn Hoddle out of the First Division since February, now cast in the comeback role of substitute. Today's referee is Ron Bridges from Deeside. One of the season's special fixtures is underway on a wet and windy afternoon in Manchester. 2 clubs with untarnished reputations for the quality of their football, but both wholly committed to winning the league title, which has been so elusive for them. And committed to Manchester United for the next 7 years, Brian Robson, who signed a contract to that effect 24 hours ago. Galvin, who will always stretch the opposition down his flank, and does well to turn in the cross. Hogg met it, and Gidman, perhaps with a sign of ring rustiness. Tony Galvin is down that left-hand side. Out by Moran. Galvin playing a part again. That was Stevens. And Galvin twisting in another cross. Crooks! Almost seemed as though he was up a little early. But Tony Galvin has this ability to play in crosses when the ball seems to be running away from him. Garth Crooks climbed, but couldn't direct the header. Moses. Strachan offside. Perryman. A day certainly when Tottenham will need his tremendous powers of leadership. He's been a winner on this ground before. Perryman's enthusiasm had taken him across to think about taking the throw. Discretion prevailed. Hazard picking out Crooks, who moved well to make himself available. Galvin. And Bailey not looking controlled, and the whistle has gone. I think, in fairness to the goalkeeper, the tricks that the breeze is playing is going to make it very hard to deal with crosses. But he lost it. The whistle went against Mabbutt. Free kick to Manchester United. Mabbutt above Robson. Strachan. Moses, who Ron Atkinson was saying was Manchester United's best player last weekend in the 5-1 demolition of West Ham. And studs were shown. by Orbiston. And that's the reason Mabbutt has stayed down. Arthur Orbiston is having his name taken. Orbiston was late. Mabbutt on his feet again. Tottenham have the free kick. Roberts has gone forward. It was Mabbutt who flicked it on, and Roberts, who came in, was offside. What a powerhouse Graham Roberts is for Tottenham. Mabbutt moving quite freely after the treatment. With the rain ceasing, Bailey now has the sun in his eyes. Galvin. And Moran almost sold the goalkeeper short, and although Crooks couldn't get it initially, there was almost an opportunity for Falco to have a second bite. But Kevin Moran undersold the goalkeeper then, and Bailey lost it. Falco had to go for the ball as Bailey snaked out an arm to reclaim it. Robson. Hughes given no room. Tottenham have lost 3 away games in the First Division already this season, at Sunderland, Sheffield Wednesday and Southampton. It's a problem that they are determined to put right, and that determination is being reflected in their approach in the opening quarter of an hour. Manchester United just have been given no time to settle. Mabbutt on the receiving end again. From Robson. Quick free kick, Hazard to Falco. Manchester United were caught napping and were a little fortunate. Mark Falco playing his 100th league game this afternoon. He was thinking quickly. So too was Hazard, who just put the ball down and played it. Falco swung at it, but put it wide. Manchester United have won the last 3 league meetings here between the two clubs. 4-2 last season, when Alan Brazil was a scorer in a Tottenham shirt. Perriman was caught and stayed down. Tottenham retained possession. Galvin. He went to place it. It was very nearly very effective. Using the conditions to his advantage, Tony Galvin. And Bailey found it coming very quickly at him. Robson. And Moses outmanoeuvred Hazard. But there is no room centre of midfield. Manchester United look on a wider front until Strachan then tried to play a ball through the heart of the defence for Brazil. You have to be there first. That's certainly the message as the play goes on. Moses was standing and glaring at Mabbutt off the ball. Now Olsen wins a challenge against Perriman, and past Hazard. Hughes, and Houghton came across. Jesper Olsen was in full cry, having won the ball initially. It's been very hard for Manchester United to get forward into the teeth of the wind in the first half, but here's Strachan. Rather poured away by Clements, only as far as Brazil. Falco. Now Orbiston. And Olsen from Perryman again. It's still his ball. It was Hazard who finally was responsible for sending Olsen down, but only after he'd played the ball, and it's a corner, not a free kick. Taken from the very eyebrows of Brian Robson. Crooks. Goodman. And for once Olsen was flat-footed on this near touchline. But after a moment where skill triumphed, the competitiveness of this fixture immediately brought about another free kick. Crooks. And again, but straight to Moses. Strachan had to screen it away from Houghton. Well, the referee has given a free kick against the Tottenham defender, I think for obstructing Mark Hughes as the ball was played back. And it gives Manchester United a rare opportunity. They've hardly had a chance to test Ray Clements in the first half, but Robson hit it cleanly. This was the incident that led to the free kick. And Roberts baulked Hughes. And Clements propels the ball from his hands to those of Gary Bailey. Olsen. The absence of John Chidozie has certainly changed the shape of Tottenham's play, but the extra genuine midfield player may well be an advantage for them, and has proved to be an advantage for them in a first half full of traditional British effort. But Brian Robson has found his path a congested one in midfield, particularly with Gary Mabbott around him. Honours about even in the halfway mark at their duel. And the score at half-time at Old Trafford, it's Manchester United 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0. Welcome back to Old Trafford. An indication of the strength of the wind that will blow at the back of Manchester United in the second half. Graham Roberts finding the problems right from the kickoff that the Manchester United defenders had in the first 45 minutes. The ball steepling up into the air. And here's Crooks, and now Hazard. The pitch has taken the heavy rain remarkably well. Kidman. And Strachan, past Chris Hughton. Inside Roberts. It was a rather impetuous lunge from him. Miller. Neat dummy from Kidman. Brazil is offside. League game number 601 for Steve Perryman. Moran. Falco had a boot raised, but Manchester United still in possession with Strachan. Always wanted to go to his left, it seemed. A touch from Crooks. Now, what can Falco manage here? He couldn't keep the shot down. But with a number of expensive strikers being brought to White Hart Lane during the time Mark Falco has been at the club, he's shown great tenacity to keep his place and really outshine most of them. When it's up in the air, it really is a lottery. Strachan. Now Olsen. Strachan almost finding space inside Perryman, who was concerned that Augustin had made a run down the touchline. And now Hughes. Clements bundles it away. Ray Clements, who's lost weight, trained hard in the close season. And the competition now from Tony Parks for the first team place in the Tottenham goal. He was out quickly then. Olsen with the corner. Robson found Abbott barring his passage again. Good ball, Gary Stevens for Crooks. And Brian Robson will have his name taken. Bridges again penalising the cynical tackle. So possibilities here for Tottenham with Hazard. And it came off Roberts. Manchester United can look at gate figures this season in the First Division that are 10,000 up on average last season. Well killed by Brazil. Hughes wants it played early by Olsen, and he obliges. Strachan, Hughes is repositioned, and Roberts met it. Olsen, Robson, and now Augustin. Finally tidied up by Paul Miller. And here's Crooks. Falco to his left, it's on Mark Falco's better foot. And this time he does get the corner. Crooks releasing the pass into the stride of Falco. Corner off Moran. And it's played short for Hazard. And Nick Hazard will remember that 3 years ago, in an identical situation, he scored the winning goal for Tottenham here in a Milk Cup tie. With a shot that crept inside that near post, just as that one in fact crept the other side of it. Brazil. Hughes in the middle, and the chance is Strachan's, and Clements kept it out. Excellent work by the goalkeeper. Strachan foiled. A splendid run by Brazil, who left Miller. Strachan connected, but Clements was there. But now Strachan has dispossessed Chris Hughton. It's over Brazil, it'll reach Olsen. And Perryman to the rescue. And after a spell where Tottenham were looking the more influential side, suddenly Manchester United bounced back. Brazil, Hughes, 1-0! The leading scorers on target again. But how hard Manchester United have had to work to break Tottenham down. Brazil got a touch, took it away from Roberts. Hughes buried it. Olsen with the early ball. That was the moment that lost Graham Roberts. And then Mark Hughes wraps in his 8th goal of the season. A nudge on Falco, which will allow Tottenham to make their substitution. And it's Garth Crooks who comes off. Glenn Hoddle last played in the First Division on February the 25th. He's had an Achilles injury. A gamble by Peter Shreves in taking off the player who has been scoring to introduce Hoddle. Immediately is in the centre of things for Tottenham. Glenn Hoddle, the back heel, created the skirmish, but in the end Manchester United dealt with. Hughes is this time 10 yards offside. Roberts saw an opening, and Robson was the player who made the first contact with the ball for Manchester United, and after, I think, players from both sides thought a free kick was about to be given. Over Brazil, met by Stevens. And the Tottenham plan now has been to push Roberts forward, with Stevens in the centre of the defence, as he was then. Graham Roberts has produced rescuing goals in the past. Perryman. Well read by Kevin Moran. Olsen. Roberts now having to track back. But he wasn't initially required. And maybe this time, Augustin. Robson. There are some tired players out there now, but it will be fought to the very last here. You can be absolutely sure of that. Olsen, past Roberts. It was Miller who met it. Moran. Hughes, not for the first time this afternoon, in an offside position. Stevens. And Brazil chasing back, Kidman in, and it almost came into the path of Hughes. It would have been a clear run on goal. Four minutes remain. Manchester United have the game's only goal. Olsen. And Clements fumbled. It came to the goalkeeper perhaps a little more slowly than he'd anticipated, and he was already down. Olsen's first touch flipped it up. And an unorthodox and unintentionally unorthodox save from Clements. Olsen. Now Strachan. Hogg trying to set up Moses. Back from Ulverston. And the goal kick. Ray Clements in the latter stages of last weekend's game, of course, preserved a victory for Tottenham against Liverpool. Brazil. It's Hoddle well forward here. The linesman flags, presumably for a push by Hoddle. The referee allows play to go on with the ball in the grasp of Bailey. Manchester United will be happy to see the ball at this end of the field. Some of their supporters already beginning to call for the final whistle. With 2 minutes of the 90 remaining. Mark Hughes voted the Young Player of the Month for September. And October's not going too badly for him either. Strachan. And Hughes thwarted by the efforts of Gary Stevens on the far post. Roberts. Here's Perryman. Ron Bridges returning the ball. Helping Tottenham to take the free kick quickly, which they had to do. It will seem a long way forward for them now. Some games are won by skill and flair, others are won by getting down to it and battling, and that's what Manchester United have done today. Thanks to a goal from Mark Hughes midway through the second half. Tottenham will reflect that they've now lost 4 of their 6 away games in the First Division this season, but the one goal came from Manchester United.
Well, there's certainly no denying the commitment from both teams in that game. I suppose it wasn't the most skillful of matches. But how important was that victory to Manchester United? Their manager, Ron Atkinson.
Psychologically very important. In terms of the type of football we've been playing, it wasn't quite up to that standard because it was more of a battle today. But we've shown we can play against sides that if they want to start battling, we can stand and compete. We've got some very good competitors as well as some very skilled players. And in a way, it was probably as satisfying, if not more satisfying, than last week's performance against West Ham, when I thought we'd probably played as well as this club's played for 20 years.
Tottenham are being linked, obviously, as championship challengers. What did you think of their performance coming here with a 4-man midfield and a pretty competitive attitude?
Yes, well, it's to be expected. I mean, they've had a change round. Hoddle's injured, and Ardiles doesn't seem to play too often these days. So they've lost an awful lot of skill in midfield, although Hazard is quite a useful player. And they seem to have supplemented that with the type of player that can compete. And we saw that show out today. And what I think they've had notice served on them is not only can we play, if it comes to competing, we're not bad ourselves.
So United obviously feel that they are better equipped than ever to make a real thrust for the title this season. Now our special report, well, we've travelled to Stoke City for that. The club at the bottom of the First Division, coming to yesterday's match with only one win in their first 9 Canon League games. Now they face West Ham at the Victoria Ground in Stoke, where our reporter is John Helm.
It's nothing short of amazing that Stoke City, the second oldest club in the league, have virtually won nothing. They've had great players like Stanley Matthews, the most famous of them all, Gordon Banks for so long, England's premier goalkeeper, and Peter Dobing, captain when Stoke won their only major trophy, the Football League Cup in 1972. That team included some fine players, but most folk would find it hard to name many of today's team apart from Sammy McIlroy, perhaps. Stoke were desperately hoping for an early goal to settle their nerves, but luck was against them when this shot from Mark Chamberlain struck the crossbar and was clear. McIlroy then sprinted away, but Ray Stewart caught his troublesome ankle, and the Irishman never made an impression after that. The feeling was already growing. This just wasn't to be Stoke's day, when Heath got round the back of the West Ham defence and delivered the perfect cross. Chamberlain muffed it. And the next time the England winger was to be involved had an equally tragic end. Once more, Heath played a big part in the move. Everybody seemed to miss the ball. Chamberlain missed the chance. It was almost a la Woodcock, but Alvin Martin got it away. Little had been seen of West Ham as an attacking force until Steve Whitten produced this save from Peter Fox. Shortly afterwards, the Hammers were in front. Gale making a break down the right, frees Paul Allen. When his cross comes in, George Berry, with an amazing diving header, puts it past his own keeper. And there was an element of farce about the next goal, Chris Hemming's header merely setting up Tony Cottee for number 2. Sammy McIlroy had had enough. He couldn't get off the field quickly enough. And a lot of the Stoke supporters were already going by the time the third goal, scored by Paul Goddard, went in. Stoke did get a consolation goal when Heath, once more, he was their best player, set up a goal for Ian Painter. But West Ham, they weren't finished, and they created the best move of the match. It ended with Paul Allen stroking the ball past Fox for number 4. A sad moment for Tony Waddington, the former Stoke manager, who looked bemused. Some of the supporters had had enough, and they certainly missed the last goal. Dyson heading the ball forward and Chamberlain scoring the goal he must have hoped he'd got it in the opening minutes of the game. All in all, a very sad afternoon for Stoke manager Bill Astor. Bill, Stoke City, bottom of the First Division. In all honesty, that was a bottom-of-the-table performance.
You're quite right, exactly right. And nobody's more disappointed than me. Confidence was at its lowest I think I've ever seen it, for some unknown reason. It's like, I think it's been like, we had a few games like this last year, even when we were doing well. If we don't score early on, once they get a thing going against them, and I thought it reflects a lot. We know where they are sitting now at the bottom of the league. It's reflecting even more and more on them. But there's no excuse for a lot of things. I mean, we've just had a hell of a long talk in there for an hour, and I've, you know, it's all very well saying, well, you can go in and lay the law down, and you can blast them, and you can do this. I mean, any Tom, Dick, and Harry can do that. That's you've got to get something constructive out of it.
I wonder how you feel as a manager on a night like this, when the team are demoralised, the spectators are demoralised, and I should imagine you are.
Yeah, well, you feel more and more sorry for the supporters, because I mean, even though you're getting beat 4, okay, they're entitled to their boos and what have you at the end because of the performance that was turned in. And I think players have got to look at themselves, and when they come and play out on this pitch here, they've got to play with some sort of pride, and there wasn't too much pride about there today.
A defeat then that leaves Stoke stranded on 7 points along with Watford, who lost at Luton. And when you show the bottom of the table, well, who'd have thought it? 6 from the bottom then. Liverpool, beaten 1-0 by Everton at Anfield. 2 wins Liverpool now in their first 11 games. More goals now from the First Division. It's Aston Villa against Norwich City. Bob Hall reports from Villa Park.
Funny team, Aston Villa. 2 weeks ago, they ended Manchester United's unbeaten season. Today, they threatened to present Norwich with their first league away win since December. They were caught in the 9th minute. The ball ran loose and ex-Villa player John Dean scooted in, giving Day no chance. The crowd roared Didier Seek's every touch. His cross from a free kick certainly deserved it, meeting the forehead of Peter Withe, perfectly placed as always. 5 minutes later, the Frenchman was denied what seemed a clear penalty. Haylock, the offender, referee Shapter didn't want to know. Norwich stunned everyone, taking the lead right on half-time. The ageless Shannon turned Withe inside out, and Louis Donoghue grasped the simplest of chances. They almost made it 3. Dion created the space for Peter Mendham, Villa having Mervyn Day to thank for a spectacular touch to deny him. In the end, it was the dependable Peter Withe who saved a point after everyone else had miskicked. Withe turned and drove, its execution simple but superb. And when the final whistle went, Withe was happy to indulge his weakness, bags of sweets from his fans.
2-2 the final score there. That's it for this week. Plenty of goals and good action for you again. And for good measure, news that crowds so far this season are the best for 3 years, particularly in the First Division, where 250,000 more people have come through the turnstiles this season. The signs may be that our national game is on its way once more, just like Manchester United, you could say. Good afternoon.
Suddenly Manchester United bounce back. Brazil, Hughes, 1-0.